In the last video, I told you I was going to use these housings, these Molex housings, this way. Try and fit an 8 and a 5 to get 13 pins. That's going to be kind of tight. That's not really satisfactory, because these housings tend to be thicker at the ends. So two side by side are really just kind of cheating. And crimping is a pain in the butt. I'm really trying to avoid it. I'm gonna have to crimp something so I can attach onto the breadboard. I also said in the last video that I couldn't use the original 12-pin cable because that only controls 2-position valves, so using this thing is out of the question. I said I'd try and fit an 8-pin and a 5-pin header, but it's going to be kind of tight there. I'm not too sure about pursuing this avenue. So, out of the question for now. Besides, I hate crimping these little things. I do have a good crimper, but nah, it's just too time consuming. So then I got around to thinking, what else can I use? What else has 0.1 inch spacing as a female connector anyway? And I found these. These are just your normal run-of-the-mill Mobo switch connectors. Of course I cut off the switch end or whatever, but these are 0.10 inch headers, 2-pole, of course. See, it says HDD LED here. The other one says power switch. So I ripped these off from old computers. I need 7 of these. Fortunately, they do seem they'll fit. If you've got that many handy, you can just plug them in side by side. See there? Let me show you. See, and there's still room for a few more, but do notice it's getting kind of tight on the other pins. See? And you need 7 of these. It makes 14. One is going to be unused, but if you can find a single pin housing with the terminal and everything, and if you can avoid yourself the crimping, well, so be it. There's still a better choice I found out, which are these old school CD-ROM connectors. This went from the CD-ROM to the motherboard, so you could have audio on your computer. This is old school, I guess. Once you strip the housing, the black housing, if you do it carefully, as to not lose the housing, you get this. You can get the wires intact. Now this black one here, that's kind of a problem to use. I'm not going to use the black ones because the black ones are braided all around the red and white conductors as shielding, as noise shielding. So when you get these out, you end up with a lot of steel wool. But I did salvage as many as I could because you never know when you need these terminals. So in order to get these out of here, the first thing you have to do is remove the heat shrink over here, which you can do very easily. Let me get this out of the way. All you have to do is tear it off with your fingernail, and it kind of peels away. If not, help yourself with anything you need, but do try to preserve the conductors and do not crush the tin connectors here, okay? I'm not crushing them here, I'm just tearing off the heat shrink so as to expose the end of the gray insulation. And as you can see, as I promised, see the black one? See? That black conductor is braided around the red and white. That's EMI shielding. Anywho, if you want to get the red and the white out of there, I suggest you nick the gray insulation. In fact, let me show you how. For that, my trusty old flat snips, which I'll use to get in there, and just kind of nick, I don't know if you can see it, but kind of nick where the black wire is. Then you can hold the red and the white, pull on the black, at least until you've ripped some of the gray insulation off. See, from then on you can hold all three conductors and just start peeling back on the gray wire like such. Whoops, wait a minute. And then you just pull back on the gray insulation like I told you. And there you have it. See? Now we have to take the braiding off, but that's easy. Here's the steel wool, which you probably won't use for much, but do save these, okay? Might be useful someday. Anywho, this is what you end up with. And as you can see, I did quite a few cables. So the trick is to try to save the housing, because you only need 4 of these, and these are the ones that squeeze the least. Now, they have little lock tabs here. Can you see them? They have to be raised. This is the motherboard end, and this would be the connector end, the wire end. You can push these little lock tabs up and slide out the wire with the connector and everything, with the terminal and everything. And try not to damage those lock tabs. You can do it with a tiny little screwdriver, but don't lift them too much. Otherwise they'll fatigue and snap off, or they just won't go back down and lock the thing. So do be careful, because I had it happen a lot at first. See if I can show you guys somehow, but these little lock tabs are damaged beyond use. See how that one's kind of too raised? I tried pushing it back down, but it's not going down. It's at least significantly, see? So this one's ruined. But I did salvage. I wish I could show you guys. Focus. There you go, see? Those tabs are ruined. See, they can be easily broken, so just be careful. I did manage to salvage 4, so I'm going to push 13 wires, and then I can hook it up to the breadboard. So in the next video, hopefully, I'll have one side of the cable finished. Now I want to show you guys how to undo these little lock tabs and get the terminals with the wires out without harming it much. Well, this is a housing I already messed up. It was one of the first ones I tried, and I can show you guys how to remove these terminals without hurting the housing. All you have to do is first, can you see them wiggle in there, how they're moving? Make sure they're as far up as they can go. Then you just lift one of these tabs. I'm going to exaggerate the movement, and I'm probably going to break it off, but it's so it shows up on camera, see? So I lift this little tab using the smallest jeweler's screwdriver I have, and once it's up, I can just slide the contact out. Try not to do it too much because you want to save the housing. This tooth is already probably broken off. Sure won't flex down and hold the terminal again. So now, like I said, this was one of my first attempts at salvaging these things, so this guy got pretty messed up, but it's a good explanation. And here are the salvaged terminals. So let's get these into the housings I managed to save. All you have to do is slide them in until they click, making sure that the locking wing on the terminal, which is never going to focus this close, faces the locking tab. If it does so, once you push it in, it's going to click in place. Listen. Yep, there it is. And it shouldn't come out again. Let's see if the next one does as good. Wing side up in the housing, and we make it click. There it goes. Maybe we can deform them downwards with a little hot air or something. I'm not sure. But if this one gives us trouble, that's what we're going to do. Okay, there's 3 more of these to do, so I'll see you guys when I'm done. So our CD-ROM cables went from being this to being this. Now it has 4 wires alternating red, white, red, white. I set aside the 3 best ones and ended up with a couple spares and even a couple of terminated wires just in case I need it. Since we have 13 positions on the PCB, I'm only going to need 3 of these because each one has 4 conductors and a spare I pulled out of a motherboard connector or something. Which, by the way, don't get rid of those. Those are very useful. Let me show you how I keep mine. This is a bundle of cables I pulled out of dead PCs. You might have noticed it has USBs, it has switches, it's got LEDs, and it's got the connectors we're looking for. These are all 0.1 inch pitch connectors, okay? And they're very slim. They fit side by side easily, okay? So you might really want to keep these. Of course, I'm showing you the ends I mostly don't use. If I flip it around, they're different lengths, but what the heck, you'll get the point. See all these? This is a treasure. These are all 0.1 inch pitch connectors, the slim kind, see? So never throw away these cables. Now let me show you how beautifully they fit on the PCB. Okay, let's take 3 of these. Start with the first. Let's assume I want red to the left. So now I just stick it in here. See? That's the first one in there. And there's still plenty of room on the sides for me to get the other connectors in there. Can you see? Let's go with the other one. And I saved this single one to install on the 13th pin, and voila! I made a 13-pin connector without having to crimp, recycling my junk, and look how neatly it fits. See? Of course, I could glue this all together so I don't have 4 separate connectors to deal with, but, well, that's an extra step. Now, all I have to do is mate the loose ends onto my breadboard, so I can finally start moving that valve. Let me get this lamp out of the way. Yeah. So that's the next step. We're going to make these ends either directly into the breadboard or perhaps using more headers. I still got to figure out what to do. But anywho, I got to get this PCB back on the valve body. Okay? So see you in the next video.